Several days ago, I asked some of my friends, fellow content creators, and community members what they think Path of Exile 2 needs most right now in this upcoming Last of the Druids update. You heard their responses, but you didn't hear mine. So in this video, we are talking about my top 5 changes Path of Exile 2 needs with 0.4. And remember, this is my list, not your list, not their list, and my opinions might differ from your own. And if you disagree, leave a comment below. And if you agree, also make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PoE2 commentary. Let's discuss point number 1. Oh, are you having trouble seeing me right now? Are you having trouble deciphering what's coming out of my mouth? What's going on the screen? Well, me too. In Path of Exile 2, the number 1 change I would like to see right now at the game is visual clarity. Right now, especially in the end game, but even in the interludes, depending on what skill you're playing, the game becomes far too cluttered. There are far too many monsters on the screen and far too many effects happening. And this also leads to worse performance as well. And we all know this is really the top of all of our lists. We want to see better frames and less crashes in PoE2 with 0.4. So what would I propose as solutions here? Because I just don't want to point out problems, even though that's what players are really good at doing. I think there are 2 things that grinding gear games could look at to solve visual clarity. And honestly, I would prefer the former. And that is less monsters on screen. Those less monsters have greater rewards. Okay, this is pushing Path of Exile 2 in the direction of game it was supposed to be back before it released, okay? It never really turned out that way, but it was something that many people were excited about. And no, I'm not saying turn Path of Exile 2 into No Rest for the Wicked. That's not what I'm saying. And I don't want it to really be Path of Exile 1. I'm looking for a middle ground, maybe leaning more into the Path of Exile 1 direction. A good chunk of monsters on screen, but not so many that you can't see what's going on, especially if you're in melee. If you're not in melee and you're ranged and you're killing stuff from a screen away on top of your row, you don't really care as much about visual clarity. But if you like to play the Monk, which is what I played this league, or if you want to try out some melee spear builds or maces or the upcoming Druid forms that are likely going to be in melee, and then swords and axes and daggers, you want this to feel good. I'd argue it feels great in the campaign itself and only starts to taper off into the end game, especially beginning in, I'd say, T10 Waystones about. And then once you include Abyss into the mix, which we know is going core, it just goes completely out the window. So I propose lower the number of monsters on screen and give those monsters more rewards, make the encounters more difficult. This would also kind of address the zoom thing that people have talked about. You got to determine what level of speed you want players going at, how fast you want them to clear screens and all that. I think addressing visual clarity will have a lot of ripple effects across the game. And if you reduce the number of monsters on screen, therefore reducing the number of effects and the like, it'll have some pretty drastic consequences, beneficial for someone like myself who'd love to see the game go in more that type of direction as opposed to the giga zoom screen clearing. You can't see anything that's happening, okay? That's happening in Path of Exile 1, and I do enjoy it. I have to say, I loved 0.3 of Path of Exile 2, and I just finished out getting 36 challenges in 3.27, so I do enjoy that style of game. There is another option here if grinding gear games don't want to reduce the number of mobs on screen, and that is introducing something like an opacity slider or an effects slider. Other games had this. One of the games I play, Guild Wars 2, reduces the number of effects on screen via a graphical option. Grinding Gear Games also has a form of this. It's dynamic culling, although I don't think it works very well, unfortunately, in Path of Exile 2. Introducing a more powerful option to reduce the number of effects on screen or declutter them a little bit would likely lead to better clarity so you can see your character and the important stuff that's going on. And it would hopefully give us some performance gains too. Time to switch gears for a brief moment and talk about change number 2. I'm going to open up my Atlas map so you can see it right here. My second desire for Path of Exile 2 with this expansion is to change the way the Atlas map works. Right now, when you are traversing the Atlas, You don't feel like you're progressing. You feel like you're wandering aimlessly across this map. I'm not asking for something that's limited. I'm not saying we can't explore the exploration aspect, but this, even though it looks like you have many different choices, it feels limiting. It feels like you're not going anywhere. And I find myself 3 times into it just not enjoying this style of endgame progression. I know Grinding Your Games is doing an endgame overhaul for 0.4. I don't know what that means. Is that going to address the Atlas map? Is it going to address something else like the Atlas skill trees? I think the biggest change they could make is overhauling the progression and changing the way you traverse this map. You can limit the area that you're traversing, make multiple continents, do some sort of terraforming to smaller plots of land. I don't think we need to go into the Path of Exile 1 direction of having a very limited atlas, a static atlas, if you will. But this is too much. And I feel like I'm just wandering even though there are points of interest on the map itself. Very curious to see if they're going to make changes on this front. It would be my top desire for endgame to touch this up, because the pins, the bookmarks, they're just not cutting it. Do you guys like punishment? I do sometimes when it's deserved, but when there's too much punishment, I kind of just check out during certain things. And Path of Exile 2 is one of them. Right now, Path of Exile 2 punishes you a lot in the end game for failure. So my change number 3 would be reducing the amount of punishment in the end game. And you can do this in a couple different ways. Right now, when you fail a map and you die, you lose 10% XP. You lose the ability to edit that map node with your tablets. You also lose any special encounters on that map. And if you juice the map all the way up to 6 modifiers on the Waystone, you only have 1 portal. You only have 1 attempt. So that sucks. You lose all the loot possibilities on the map. You lose everything. So it's just all these compounding punishments that are occurring. That just feels bad. I'm totally fine with there being some semblance of punishment for failure to halt progression and to encourage you to invest in defenses or play more strategically. But right now, there's just too much. So I think Grinding Your Games should limit that in some regard. Keep 1 or 2 of those things, maybe just 1 of them, and then eliminate the rest. I get that we want to be punishing and we want to have some sort of, consequence of failure, but it's just too high right now. We are going to pop right back into Path of Exile 2 and talk about change number 4. That is cooler ascendancy nodes. Right now, I really don't feel the power gain when I get my first ascension, my second ascension, or my third ascension for most of the ascendancy classes that I have tried out in Path of Exile 2. The Acolyte of Chayula, it's the Invoker, it's the Titan, it's the Witch Hunter, it's the Tactician, and the Amazon. I've tried all these, and even though the nodes sound cool, they look cool, oh, this should be powerful, they end up not really changing my character in any significant degree. And that feels bad. These Ascendancies should make you excited about earning them in the Trials of Ascension, and they should instantly change the way your character plays. You should feel that power gain as if you were equipping a new powerful weapon or armor piece or something along those lines. Right now, I'd argue that the bulk of Path of Exile 2 Ascendancy classes don't have that feeling, and that's a design failure in my view. I think they need to not go back to the drawing board, but just increase the power that you're getting from these Ascendancy nodes and not be afraid to let players feel powerful with a lot of these. I think right now, one of the most popular Ascendancies is the Blood Mage because it enables so many different skills and styles of play, and that's awesome. I want all Ascendancies to be like that. I'm going to go to Path of Exile 1 for a moment. I played Path of Exile 1 this league. I was a Berserker, and when I allocated the Berserker Ascendancy, I instantly felt it. Felt the power. I was building up rage faster and faster. I was dealing 40% more damage. Oh, it just feels great. And I want to feel that in Path of Exile too. I know it might be more difficult because with PoE2, they are baking skills into Ascendancies, and oh, do you really want to put a bunch of power behind this skill and lock it out from other classes? That goes against what PoE is all about. Well, this is PoE2. Give us some broken Ascendancy skills. Let us test them. It's early access. Now is the time to swing and go wild. I want to see some more powerful, more fun Ascendancy nodes in 0.4. I swear, if the Druid is underpowered, I will be sad, but I'm going to be playing it. And speaking of the Druid, I'm saying this is change number 5, even though the Druid does not exist yet, but change number 5, I want more Druid variety. Okay, the teaser basically confirmed we're getting a wolf form. In the past, we've seen a bear form. We've seen a couple of elemental skills. I hope that's not all we're getting. I hope there's a lot of variety introduced with the Druid. They've been cooking it for so long. I hope there's a wide swath of different skills and abilities, and the Ascendancies are inspiring, and that third mysterious form, which seems to be the Wyvern form, is dissimilar to anything else we've ever seen in an ARPG when it comes to Druids. I'm just looking for a lot of different things I can sink my teeth into, try out, and see what fits perfectly with my playstyle and, you know, the vibe I like to exude when playing Path of Exile 2. I'll be super sad if Druid comes into the game and it ends up being a one-trick pony, kind of like the Huntress and Spears were in 0.2. Some of you might come at me for this, but it's true. She came into the game and Lightning Spear was far and away the most powerful skill in the entire game. All the other skills in the kit just weren't as cool. I know there were some blood builds out there, but nothing hit just like Lightning Spear. I hope there are at least 5 or 6 skills, main skills, that come in with the Druid that hit like Lightning Spear, and I do hope other classes have those floors raised, those skills made cooler, more interesting, more impactful to play from level, you know, I don't know, 10 or 20 or 30 when you first get the skill all the way through endgame. That was a design goal of Grinding Gear Games that they stated in an interview I did with them several months ago. Hopefully this is the patch where they bring more skills up to par and make sure the Druid starts off on the right. Well, Exiles, do you agree? Do you disagree? Whether or not you do, leave a comment below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PoE2 content. You guys really enjoyed that crazy collab. There was even a very nice Reddit thread all about it, summarizing people's opinions and debating whether they were right or wrong. I loved reading through it. We are in the hype period now. We are just 9 days away from the reveal. Lots of sick stuff is coming. Make sure if you want to get it all, that you sub to the channel, guys, with the bell on, because I'm going to be covering absolutely all of it. That should be all for this video now. Tried to keep it brief, tried to keep it nice and quick. I will talk to you all later. Have a wonderful evening. Stay sane and have fun.